Hey, Katie.
Hey, Ben.
So in this episode, I don't have any kind of witty introduction. I'm simply going to say that there is a profanity warning for this episode because we're going to be talking about profanity.
That's right. And, well, we're not going to try to be profane, but it might sneak out here and there.
You are listening to Linear Digressions.
Alrighty. So, with that teaser,
Haha.
so what we want to talk about today is a problem called the Scunthorpe problem.
Okay.
And this is a problem that I first heard about because I, as it happens, know somebody from Scunthorpe. Scunthorpe is a town in England. I'm sure you've heard of it because it's extremely famous, right?
I have never heard of it. Like, how many people live in this town?
I don't know, not many. Let me look this up real quick. I'm intrigued now.
Because if it's a particularly small town, like the town of Harmony, California, has like 20 residents or something like that. But if it's particularly small, I will be very impressed that you know somebody.
Oh, population 72,000.
Oh, okay. So it's not a really small town.
It's not super small, but it's not that big. Anyway,
So how does this relate to profanity?
right. So let me tell you the story of how the Scunthorpe problem came to be.
Okay.
In 1996, someone from the town of Scunthorpe was on America Online, which you might remember.
Yeah, AOL.
Right.
Probably have one or two of those CDs still hanging around.
I know, right? It's a blast from the past.
Mm-hmm.
So they tried to register a website for Scunthorpe in, whatever, for the municipality or something.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it was refused by AOL. And the reason why was because AOL had algorithms in place that were automatically looking at the titles that people were trying to buy for the websites and flagging them if there was profanity. And Scunthorpe clearly is an extremely dirty word, and we do not want to have websites that are being called scunthorpe.co.uk or whatever.
So I don't entirely follow. But actually, I guess if you see it written out, there is a curse word in the middle of that word.
That's right. There's a pretty vulgar term right in the middle of it. And so you can imagine, for those of you who are computer savvy enough to know something like a grep command, right? It's just literally
a grep is
looking.
just a searching.
Yeah, it's just looking for literally a certain string of characters, and when it sees them in that sequence, kind of regardless of what's going on either side of them, it will flag it and say, this is a bad word. And that was what happened with Scunthorpe.
Yeah, so using a command like grep, if you were looking for the string Ben, for example, which is my name, you would not only come across terms, or I should say sentences that have my name in it, but you will also come across words like bento box, which is not my name exactly, but it does contain the string Ben.
Yeah, exactly. And so there's lots of versions of the Scunthorpe. I mean, this became very famous. And it's a problem that people have all the time. And it's actually really tricky. There's not a super straightforward solution to this one. Some of them... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So just to clarify, the problem is not so much this exact problem, but the problem is just more generally speaking, how do you figure out what permutations of content that you want to filter, whether that's curse words or dirty images or whatever, which of those are actually legitimate permutations that you want to block and which of them are completely innocuous, like the name of this town.
Yeah, and that it has this kind of context dependent aspect to it. And of course, computers are not very good at understanding context and nuance and things like that in the way that humans are, kind of quite naturally. So there's lots of versions of this that are exactly like the Scunthorpe problem. They're trying to automatically flag profanity in names, and you can find zillions of examples of this, right? Like there's a town in England called Peniston, Penistone, right?
Got it. Okay.
Middlesex. I mean, it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
But there's also some that I just think are even a little bit more whimsical, like a little bit funnier. I was reading up on this, and there was a guy who was telling about the experience of, he was reading on his Nook, right? The little whatever Barnes and Noble Kindle, basically.
Little reading device.
Yeah. And so he's reading this translation of, it was like Anna Karenina or something. and he came across this strange word about or the strange line about a candle that had been nooked, or a fire that had been nooked, or something like that. He's like, that's weird. And he saw this word a couple of times. And so he was wondering if it was maybe a translation error. So he found a paper version of the book, and went to those lines to try to figure out what word was being translated as nooked. And the word was kindled.
Oh.
So there's probably some e-file of this book floating around somewhere, and somebody just did like a search and replace.
Oh, got it. So he kindled the flame, becomes he nooked the flame, which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as a computer programmer myself, we encounter this problem very often. It's very, very easy to do a simple find and replace. I mean, it actually becomes a little bit more difficult, even when you're talking about simple things like pluralization, right? But then when you want to filter based off of words that are on a blacklist, a list of terms that you want to remove, you can run into some interesting problems like we're seeing.
So for you as a web developer, is there a particular context in which that happens?
Well, I mean, I would probably just say any string manipulation whatsoever. So in computer science, a string is just a series of characters, right? So Ben Jaffe, my name, is a string of characters, BEN space JAFFE. If you take the word chair or table or whatever, those are also just strings. And if you want to do a manipulation on that based on some certain set of rules, if you're dealing with a language, it becomes difficult. And if you're dealing with a language where the context matters, it becomes extremely, extremely difficult, because you need to find a way to get the computer program to understand the context enough to make a decision about how to pluralize the word, or which version of this word are we talking about, and so how do we handle it, etc.
Yeah. Okay. So like I said, this is a super tough problem, I think, that can always just sort of pop up sort of when you least expect it, right? So there's not a general solution now that I can sit here and tell you. It's just, I think it's just kind of hard work, like you said.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll end by saying sort of my two favorite examples from my research of this. So one was, do you remember in the Olympics a couple of years ago, there was a sprinter named Tyson Gay?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So there's a number of algorithms like this that don't just do like a search, but they sometimes do like a search and replace. So there was some publication that had decided that their style guide was that they use the word homosexual and not gay.
Oh, no.
And so, and they just send all of their stories through the algorithm.
So
and
they just do this, yeah.
And so it rewrites all the headlines, and there are all these great headlines that you can look up about, like, homosexual sprints past competition to advance to 100-meter finals, and
God,
stuff like that.
That's horrible.
And then the last one, and then I'll let you get back to the rest of your life, is when I was reading up on this, there was a number of references to how this was a clbuttic problem in like computer science and text processing, and I was like, I have never heard the word clbuttic before.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what is that?
Yeah, so it's CLBUTTIC.
Oh,
the word in the middle. Yeah, so the word in the middle that should sort of trip your sensors is but, BUTT, which is often a substitution for a slightly more risque word.
Got it. So clbuttic means classic.
Classic. Yeah.
What a classic example. What a clbuttic example.
Exactly.
Linear Digressions is a Creative Commons endeavor, which means you can share or use it any way you like. Just tell them we said hi. To find out more about this or any other episode of Linear Digressions, go to lineardigressions.com. And if you like this podcast, go ahead and leave us a review on iTunes so other people get to listen to this content too. You can always get in touch with either of us. Our emails are ben@lineardigressions.com and katie@lineardigressions.com in case you have comments or suggestions for future shows. You can tweet us at lindigressions. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.